So the first step of making our pin cushion after we have cut the fabric or our felt is to pin it together, because we don't want those two pieces like sliding around. So we always pin the edges. People are amazed that I always pin everything that I stitch. The reason being is that fabrics become independent of one another, and they don't even always know about the other fabric, and so they just kind of have a tendency to shift, and I don't want to have that happen. So when I pin it, it'll stop it. So I'm going to stitch on all four sides, but I'm going to leave an opening because we're going to stuff this with stuffing inside. So I'm going to start at this pin when I start to stitch, okay, and I'm going to stop at this one. So I have a start and a stop that I've made. So if I was doing this by machine, I would be doing the same exact thing. I would be starting and stopping. So I'm going to start here, and I'm only going to be stitching about 1/4 of an inch. And if you're not sure how much that is, let's look at the seam gauge. There's 1/4 of an inch. And that's about how far away from, oh, I guess maybe I'm a little closer. Let's do it 1/8, because we're going to do this on the outside and we're not going to turn it. Let's do it 1/8 of an inch. We're going to stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. I'm going to start by bringing my needle, I'll bring him up, and then that secures that knot on the underside. See him sitting there? Whoop, got a loop. There it goes. And I'm going to go down. And you got to be careful of those, the pins, that your threads don't get caught on it. And then I'm going to come up again. I'm only about 1/16 of an inch away from that first stitch, and it's really super short. Now, this is called a running stitch. You can make this in different lengths. You could make this a really long stitch, but it would only be temporary, and we also call that a basting stitch. But I'm just coming up and going down. Now, some people think you should be able to do this all from the top side. Well, the bummer is that if I did, I may not catch all of the fabric on the underside. And what I'm talking about is people try to make this quicker by going this way and taking the stitch, but you can't make it small enough, and you may not catch the bottom side. See how wide that is? That's too big. We only want them about 1/16 of an inch long, 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. This is going to hold our stuffing that holds our pins. Oh, I made a loop. If that happens, you can pull up on it. Oh yeah, there's a little knot. And pull it down. So if you are a needle spinner, like when you're stitching and you keep on turning, you're going to have an issue with your thread. It's going to get knotted. And we don't want to have that happen. So, every once in a while, let go your needle, let it unspin, untwist. See, I'm coming up. When I get to the corner, I'm just going to turn the corner. I'm going to pivot right here and start going across this way. And I'm going straight through the fabric, kind of around the pin. I'm going straight down through the fabric. I'm not going at an angle, so I try to make sure that my needle goes straight up through it. And if I don't like where the placement is, I can continue to stab back again. So like if I stuck my needle up like this and it's not where it needs to be, it's really easy to remove it and come on down here. Again, this is just a very simple running stitch. We're doing it small so the stuffing doesn't come out. Plus we want this to last a little bit longer. We're going to stitch some embroidery floss over this anyway, but that's just for decoration more than it is anything. This is the one for strength. All right, so you're going to go all the way around. So what happens if you get to the point where you're running out of thread and you don't have enough? So go on the back side, same side as your other knot is on the other side. We're going to turn it over, and this is how we finish. So I'm going to take a stitch like that. See how little that is? I just take enough right through there, and as I'm pulling my loop up, you can see right here, see this loop that's formed? I make my knot, or my needle, I'm sorry, my needle go through it. And that is a knot. We always do 3 at the end of any hand stitching that you do. Whoa, sorry, hit my camera. So, oh, come here. You can see how it kind of twists? We don't want to go through that, or it's gonna make a knot somewhere else. So right there, pull it down. So that's 2. I'm gonna do 1 more. And I do it right, see how close it is to the last one? That's what I'm gonna do every time. Go through this loop. Don't get involved in your pins, and then you will cut it. So you do that when you get to the end. I'm just adding it right here so that you know, just in case you run out of thread, what to do. So we're going to go all the way around up to this point, and then we're going to, before we stuff it, we're going to run with your bigger needle and some embroidery floss. We're going to do another row around there. It'll be real pretty. It'll be cool. And then after we stuff it, we're going to tuft it with a button. And I'm going to teach you how to sew on a button through that.